Welcome to another episode of The Brand Called You, a video and podcast show that brings you leadership lessons, knowledge, experience, and wisdom from hundreds of successful individuals from around the world. Today, I have with me an accomplished professional, Manuraj Jain. Manuraj, welcome to the show.
Yeah, thanks, Ashutosh. Thanks
Thank
for
you.
having me over.
Manuraj is the founder and CEO of the Money Club. He's the managing partner of Vinculum Capital Partners. So, Manuraj, tell me, what would you say are three key milestones in your life or your career?
First of all, thanks for having me over, Ashutosh. And to answer your question, I think the three big milestones that I would see, it's more in terms of accomplishments. I think the first one, the big milestone that these are all life-changing milestones for me.
Sure.
The first one is getting into IIT,
Mhm.
straight out of school. I went to IIT Kharagpur. That was one of the milestones. The second one is joining Schlumberger. So I joined Schlumberger as an oil field engineer, and there I kind of became the high potential engineer across 50,000 employees
Mhm.
in a span of 2-3 years. And the third one is actually going to France to do my MBA from NCI.
Mhm.
All three experiences have actually shaped my personality.
Okay.
If you can allow me to add the fourth one, I can add one
Sure,
more.
sure, sure.
So this was when I was almost a kid. When I was in school, I used to play table tennis. I'm a national champion.
Mhm.
Sorry, a state champion. Played national. So I played nationals when I was in grade 8.
Mhm.
So again, so these are four very big milestones in my career that have kind
Wonderful.
of shaped who I am
Wonderful.
today.
So now let's talk about the Money Club. Tell me about this venture and what you do here.
See, Money Club is a technology platform
Mhm.
where users from all over the country can discover other individuals and start pooling up money.
Okay.
And in a group, they can start saving, borrowing, and investing. In other words, basically, Money Club is a platform, it's an artificially intelligent platform for people to invest in chit funds.
Mhm.
Now, we developed this platform to address the problem of fraud in this space.
Mhm.
So, there's a huge problem of fraud that plagues this industry and hence the reputation of this industry.
Mhm.
We realized that by building technology and transparency in the whole process,
Mhm.
this problem can be addressed very effectively.
Mhm. Okay. And what is a neobank for savings?
So, see, neobank as a definition is anything which is apart from the current structure of a bank that we see today. Now, in probably next 10 years, a neobank for savings would mean a completely different way of imagining the bank,
Mhm.
where people can start use the product called savings. Now, in Money Club, if you see that when people join a group, micro groups are created. Like 10 people, 20 people come together.
Right.
They pool up money and they save money, and they can withdraw that savings whenever they want to withdraw based on their contingent need. Now, this basically creates a flexible savings product,
Mhm.
very unlike the FDs and RDs that we see today. So the current banking system is offering a savings product, n- which I would say is quite old. No innovation has happened in that space, and Money Club's model is actually going to bring a new age banking solution for product like savings.
This I'm assuming will be within the guidelines of the Reserve Bank of India.
Yes. So actually not RBI. Yeah, you can say RBI, but see the business of chit funds is actually governed by the Central Chit Fund Act,
Okay.
1992,
Mhm.
and it's governed by the state. It's a state subject, just like transportation and healthcare.
Mhm.
And RBI acts as an advisor to the state governments or the registrar of the state governments, to be specific,
Mhm.
uh, in case the registrars want to seek any advice from the RBI.
Okay. So, over the last 8, 10 years, chit funds has become a challenging word, with problems that have been seen with several, the biggest of them being Sahara Shri, and then there's Bengal, which seems to be the capital of the chit fund scams, etc. Uh, how is the Money Club different? In that, how are you different, and how do you protect small investors?
See, when we started, so we started building this product around 3 years ago,
Mhm.
and the main problem in this business model is the cashier. So first of all, let me tell you about the chit fund industry.
Mhm.
So the chit fund industry in India is almost a 50 to $100 billion industry.
So,
It's a huge industry, and in this space, only 10% of the industry is actually registered,
mhm.
which means that people actually register the groups with the government. 90% of the groups that get formed are actually unregistered. These are groups where people, informally get together, they start saving money and start rotating money among themselves. So microfinance is actually also another form of ROSCA.
Right.
So it's a rotating savings and credit association. Now, in this model, there's a central guy called the cashier. Who the cashier is the guy who forms the group, collects the money, holds a bid, and then disburses money to the winner.
Right.
Now, the cashier gets into a Ponzi scheme very quickly,
Mhm.
and he's the guy who runs away with people's money. And because people are doing this informally, they don't have it registered anywhere, so
Mhm.
they don't have any legal recourse when a cashier runs away with their money. So that's the reason why people get into this trap. They start they find a local cashier, start saving in cash. The cashier runs away, and then they get into trouble. So this is what happens. This is the biggest problem in this space, and in the registered chit fund space, where you read Sharda and Sahara. Now these are actually deposit schemes. They are not actually a chit fund. If you really were to go into the model, they are actually technically not a chit fund. They were not operating as a chit fund.
Okay.
So it's just the media has kind of painted it in the wrong picture, and it just spread like wildfire.
Mm.
Now, what is different in the Money Club model is that we have removed the risk of the cashier.
Okay.
So in our model, when we started off, people pool up money. The money does not get collected in a central place.
Mhm.
So once the bid is done, once the auction is done, people start moving money among themselves, and it's a complete peer-to-peer model. Actually, chit fund is actually the India's version of peer-to-peer lending. It's not the lending club or the fair cent kind of business model that the Indians are used to. Indians are used to doing committees, chit funds. They call it BC in the west of India. So this is actually the peer-to-peer lending model. And in our model, we have removed the cashier, so there's no centralization of money, and that's how we are kind of de-risking the whole model.
But tell me, my little understanding of chit funds is that I put money, you put money, a third person has to be given a return. They take money from me, you, and give a return to the third person. And they just keep on assuming that the treadmill keeps running faster and faster, so that the pot of money gets bigger and bigger. Till one day when someone stops the treadmill, then everyone falls off. Is that correct
Um,
or wrong? Where does the cashier come in?
no, unfortunately, that is not right. So I'll just quickly tell you how a chit fund works.
Okay.
So let's say there's a cashier. He gets nine people together. So there are totally 10 people.
Mhm.
All of them decide to pool up 1,000 rupees in every 15 days. So they
Correct.
pool up 10,000 rupees every 15 days.
Hmm.
Now this 10,000 rupees can be picked up by any one of the 10 people in the group. So let's say how they decide who picks up the money is by bidding for it. So
Hmm.
let's say I bid 100 rupees, you bid 200, somebody bids 300. And let's say the highest bidder bids 900 rupees to pick up the pot.
Hmm.
Now let's say I bid 900. So I will put 900 on the table and pick up the 10,000 rupees.
Hmm.
That 900 rupees gets split among the remaining nine members.
Okay.
So which means that everybody who has contributed to the pot earns an interest of 100 rupees.
Mhm.
This happens in round one. Round two, again, the same thing will happen. Everybody will come and contribute 10,000 rupees each and pool up 10,000 rupees. But only nine people will bid
Hmm.
because the first round winner can't bid anymore. And this process goes on for 10 rounds. So
Okay.
you can imagine that the guy who waited till the end actually picks up the whole pot without bidding for it, and he becomes a net investor. So he picks interest in each of the preceding rounds.
Hmm. Okay. Very interesting. And when you listen to all these big guys where something has gone wrong, whether it's Sahara or Sharda or a lot of small ones,
Mhm.
uh, who is accountable? I mean, I'm not sure who is a cashier, but is when you see Subrata Roy answering to the Supreme Court, is in Sahara, is Subrata Roy the cashier or is it someone else?
So the registered chit fund company model, the chit fund company is supposed to be the cashier.
I see.
They are the custodian of the money
Mhm.
only for the time that till the time the auction is made.
Okay.
And as soon as the auction is done, the money has to move out. But what happens is that companies, they don't conduct auction. They collect the money, but they don't conduct the auction. They siphon off the money, start using it for some other purposes, and once there's a winner, they don't give the money to the winner. So that's the problem primarily.
Okay. And what happens when there are millions of investors? I mean, in your case, at least the Money Club has technology to be able to manage very large numbers. But if it is being done manually, a lot of people probably just lose the money.
So it doesn't matter whether you do it manually or let's say with technology. A lot of people will lose their money if the custodian of the money runs away.
I see.
Yeah. So if it's a registered chit fund company, they decide to scoot away with the money. Yes, a lot of people will lose the money.
Okay.
But I would say we are painting the entire picture with a single stroke.
Okay.
There are currently 10,000 registered chit fund companies.
I'm sure.
Shriram Chits is one of the most reputed chit fund
Mhm.
company.
Mhm.
Kerala state government is running the country's largest chit fund company, and the entire infrastructure development of the Kerala state government is being handled by KSFE, which is the country's largest chit fund company.
Very interesting. No, I mean, I must clarify. I'm not here trying to, run down any industry, etc. But
No, no,
I said,
I'm putting both sides because what has happened is the media has kind of projected a picture
hmm,
which is incorrect.
okay.
They have forgotten to project the other side of the coin. We are just seeing one side of the coin.
Fair enough. So tell me, if I'm an investor in a chit fund, uh, based on what you've told me, what I get is an option to get a large pool of money at one time
Yes.
and some return. But can this return be fixed? Or can I know what return I can get if I put 1,000 rupees?
No, you can't.
You can't.
Technically, you can't because it is a function of the need of the people when they need the money. The other members of your group.
Okay. And therefore, based on what you are saying, my understanding is that you as a platform don't really retain any money.
Correct. In fact, we as a platform, we don't even forget retaining. We don't take money at all.
Okay.
So what we do is we keep the pool as notional,
Mhm.
and we say that let's say notionally 10,000 rupees is on the table. Let's bid. We go through the bid, and let's say I win. I will just enter my bank account details on the app. The remaining 9 people will transfer their funds directly into my bank account.
Okay.
So the platform, the money does not pass through the platform.
I see. And what happens if they don't?
If they don't, then they default.
Okay.
So that's where our the platform's underwriting algorithms come into the play, and that's where the intelligence that we have built in comes into the play.
Very interesting. So I was also reading, and maybe I was wrong, but you also give loans.
No, we don't.
You don't give loans. Okay. Okay. Then my understanding is wrong. And let's now move on and let's talk about Vinculum Partners, Capital Partners.
Okay.
That I'm assuming is a different company.
It was. So I used to run. So let's say when I came back from INSEAD in 2008, I honestly had a couple of job offers in London with Mitchell Madison and American Express. But 2008 was early 2008 was a time when India's economy was really heating up. Things were going north, and I felt that the entire world is coming to India, and I should not be moving west. So I decided to start up something on my own.
Okay.
And that's when I started Vinculum Capital Partners in 2008.
Okay.
It started off as a boutique investment banking outfit, and I was primarily helping small and medium enterprises to raise private equity capital. I did that for around 4 or 5 years, and I realized that this is not a game that I like. It's purely relationship based. All iBanking work is very relationship based, and I wanted something which is more intellectual in nature. So I moved, I pivoted away from iBanking in 2013 and started working on growth, the problem of growth for SMEs. So typically, these small companies they struggle growing to 10x. They grow to a certain level and they plateau off. So and they really struggle after this. You can't go like 10x after that. So I created a model with one of my friends and partner from McKinsey. He came back from Dubai. We created a model based on reality determination using the Socratic principle. And we started solving business problems using this approach. And that actually got really interesting. And we started solving very good problems for SMEs. And we started growing companies, started changing the trajectory of the companies to the higher growth path. From 2013 to 2000, around 16, 17, my whole idea was to build a portfolio of 5 companies to grow from X to 10X, and then basically find a winner in the end and cash out from the winner. That was the whole idea of Vinculum.
Okay, interesting. So I'm going to now move to the next segment of our conversation, which are some questions for you personally. Manuraj, for someone who's done so much, in such a short period of time, what does success mean to you?
Okay, so honestly, what I've realized over the last short stint of work is that the business is actually a manifestation of the founder's consciousness. So whatever happens around me or whatever baby I create as a founder, it is just a manifestation of what is happening inside me. Okay. And it is a manifestation of my awareness and my consciousness. So the more I become self-aware, the more my business is going to grow. So for me, success is actually understanding my self-awareness. If I were to put that in one sentence.
And a follow-up question to that is that who or what inspires you?
See, I think inspiration is, I don't consider inspiration as a positive word, because inspiration means that we are trying to copy, or let's say not copy, but we look at somebody else, see what they have done, and we get motivated to probably achieve what the other person has achieved by looking at what he's done. Right? That is how I would define inspiration. Okay. Now, this is something that is not right, and over the years, our education system has kind of, given a wrong weightage to this word. We should not be inspired at all. Okay. Honestly, we should be aware of who we are. So every individual is like a flower on in a garden, right? Something is somebody might be a sunflower, somebody might be a tulip, somebody might be a poppy, but everybody needs to flower individually and beautifully. So a sunflower can't be inspired by let's say a tulip and say that I'll start becoming a tulip. So that's not right. We have to understand who we are.
Fair enough. My next question is on failure. And I've often said that, Indians don't teach children it's okay to fail. Yet we fail and we learn. So my question to you is, what have been some of your learnings from some of your mistakes?
So I think the way I look at failure is, so if we try to understand what failure means. So failure is an expectation mismatch, right? So we were trying to expect a certain outcome in a certain scenario. It didn't happen, and we consider that as a failure. Now, that happens primarily because our expectation is wrong. We fail because our expectation is wrong. Okay. Now, the question is, how do we get the right expectation? Or how do we know what is the right expectation to have in a particular situation? Right. So the answer to that is we should not have any expectation at all.
Okay.
So if there is no, and Gita says it very beautifully, karam karta jao, phal ki ichha mat rakho.
Okay.
So, and I completely follow that. I think without any expectation, if we are in tune with the collective consciousness, then every action that we take is going to be intuitive, and it will be in sync with the collective awareness. So, and then whatever comes to you is a response to your karma, past karma. So,
Fair enough.
uh,
So my last question to you, Manuraj, now is, and so the thousands of people who will listen to our conversation, what is the advice, if you believe in advice, uh, that you can give to young managers who are starting off on their journey, either as entrepreneurs or in the corporate world?
I think the only thing that I can tell anyone, although when I was in the management advisory business in Vinculum, I realized one thing, that advice can never be given; it is only taken. So if there's anybody who would like to take any advice, I think the only advice I would say is find a way to understand yourself. Everything else will follow after that.
Well said. Manraj, thank you very much. It's been a pleasure speaking to you, and thank you for clarifying so many things about the Chit Fund, which I didn't know about. I think that's been an amazing learning for me. But thank you again for the conversation.
Thanks, Avitos. Thanks for having me over. And I hope with this conversation, the light in which Chit Funds are seen might start changing.
I hope so. Thank you again. Thank you for listening to the Brand Called You videocast and podcast, a platform that brings you knowledge, experience, and wisdom of hundreds of successful individuals from around the world. Do visit our website www.tbcy.in to watch and listen to the stories of many more individuals. You can also follow us on YouTube, Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. Just search for the Brand Called You.